Hi there. In this short video, we're going to take a look at what the difference is between business strategy and business tactics. Now, there is a difference, although, of course, both strategy and tactics involve management making decisions. Strategy is essentially about the long-term plan of the business. Strategic decisions are taken at the top level of a business, and they're derived and based on what the business wants to achieve, which itself is set by the vision or the mission of the business. So strategic decisions, strategic actions are essentially based around trying to achieve the corporate objectives. Another key distinguishing feature of strategy is that strategy usually involves the commitment of a significant amount of a business's resources. Not quite betting the business, but sometimes not far off. Tactics, by contrast, tend to be more short-term rather than long-term, and often they involve responding to opportunities that arise or threats that appear. Tactics are very closely influenced by and shaped by the functional objectives of the business. So we're dealing here with the operational day-to-day decisions that management make. And usually with tactics compared with strategy, they involve less resources, less of a significant commitment of risk. Let's just have a look at a couple of examples of where the difference between strategic decisions and tactical decisions play out when it comes to different parts of business theory. So if we're looking at areas like mission statements, the vision, the values, the core values of a business, if we're considering the overall organizational culture of the business, how the business as a whole wants to grow, the choices it makes in terms of growth strategy, and also how it positions itself and targets the markets it wants to compete and win in, those are all strategic issues. Compared with tactical issues, which as we've said, are more around the functional areas. So the specific decisions around the marketing mix. A great example of that, of course, would be pricing. Pricing being changed to take account of changing market circumstances. A lot of pricing changes are very tactical in nature. Similarly, the tactics that the business uses to recruit people and to try to retain them in terms of the financial and non-financial rewards. The decisions about what's the right level of inventory to hold, where you would locate a specific store for a retailer, and of course the day-to-day decisions that get taken in relation to things like customer service. Those are all very much tactical decisions. Just to help illustrate the point, let's compare two businesses, Starbucks and Netflix. How might we make a distinction between strategic decisions for those two businesses and tactical decisions? Well, for Starbucks, one of the key strategic aims in terms of the growth strategy has been to aim to build market leadership in the fastest growing emerging market, which is China. So the strategic decision was around committing significant business resources to open almost 2,000 stores across many of China's largest cities, with the vision based around the corporate vision of one cup, one person and one neighborhood at a time. That's a very strategic decision, the decision to move into China and commit huge resources. Tactically in China, it's doing a whole bunch of detailed things to try to support that strategy. For example, a year or so ago, it was criticized in the official press for selling what appeared to be high-priced coffees in some of its stores in the major cities. And the tactical response was based around a social media campaign that brought together people in China, its customers in China, to support the brand. Looking at Netflix, we saw that at the start of 2016, Netflix launched its service overnight in 100 new countries. And that was based around its vision of becoming the world's leading media streaming and entertainment service. Interestingly, one of the few countries it couldn't launch in was China. That was very much a strategic decision. Tactically, Netflix has got a whole bunch of decisions to make in each of the territories around the world in which it competes. For example, recently the EU instigated a decision to try and force the likes of Netflix and Amazon Prime to increase the quota of programs that are made in Europe. And tactically, how it responds to that will be very much a tactical rather than a strategic decision. So there we go. That's a brief overview of the difference between strategy and tactics.